The wise person learns from their own experience. The very wise person learns from the experience of others. And there's so much that we can learn from books and from people. Mentoring, coaching is such an important aspect of development. And I've been blessed in having wonderful teachers and mentors in every facet of my life, not the least of which is spiritually.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Arco in Hope, where we're shining this light in these light days. How? By interviewing people of faith that are successful business leaders or entrepreneurs. And today we have with us a wonderful man of God, Norm. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, David. Good to be here.
Norm, for the audience, can you give me your full name? Where do you live and what do you do for a living?
Well, my name is Norm Trainor. And my company is called the Covenant Group. And our mission is to help our clients thrive. And we work primarily with entrepreneurs and help them to design the business that's right for them. And then leverage systems, processes, and approaches that drive revenue and measurable results. One of the challenges, David, is that often the reasons why business fail is that they have the wrong design. And everything starts with design. It's like building a house. If you have a faulty design, then you're not going to end up with a very solid structure. So we start with helping our clients define what it is they're looking to achieve, develop a strategy. We define strategy as the alignment of three elements. What are the outputs, objectives you're looking to create? What are the opportunities and what are the capabilities and resources you have to realize them? And what are the opportunities and challenges the environment provides? As you know, all three of those are dynamic, they're in flux. So it's not about having a plan, it's about having a planning process. So we start with strategy, that's the first cornerstone. Then we look at structure, the system of roles, role relationships, and policies that define accountability and authority within your business, whether you're a business of one or a business of many. And then we look at systems and processes. Successful businesses are built on replicable processes. Systems are fundamental to how you run your business. And then the final cornerstone is financial management, building a successful and sustainable business that is profitable and is based on sound financial principles. So it's strategy, structure, systems and processes, and financial management. And typically, we find that we work with entrepreneurs and business leaders over a 1 to 3 year time frame to define the business that's right for them, and then implement the appropriate structure, systems and processes, and financial management. And I've been doing this now for 6 decades, love it. Love working with entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's a blessing.
Wow, 6 decades. That's a long time, Norm.
Well, it is. Well, it started in the 70s, but so I've been doing this for 50 years. But if you think about 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020s, I'm into my 6th decade, David.
What a blessing, Norman. Thank you for your contribution to our society. I keep telling people, well, I'm a born entrepreneur. I was hired though on Fortune 500 companies for about 10 years before I started my successful enterprise, because I failed once before, right after college. But I tell people that businesses is what the Lord uses in the free world to enable the blessings and abundance and liberty that we have in North America. And if you look at the free world, if it wasn't for businesses, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because there wouldn't be an internet and there wouldn't be a recording system where we can see each other's face, because there is businesses that are producing, inventing, they are motivated by competition to add more value to their customers and create a market share so that they can actually provide for themselves and their people.
Absolutely.
And this society doesn't get it. And so thank you, because why do I say they don't get it? They are not taught this in school anymore, Norm. I remember when I was in school, I went to computer science when I was very young. I was, I think, 18, 16 years old, 17, 18 years old. And my first course was Economics 101 in a computer science track. And they talked about everything you just talked about.
Yeah.
And they said, what's the foundation of the economy, how the free world works. And the classic example the professor gave us was, how do you think this pencil is made? And he showed us the supply chain for making one pencil, from the eraser down all the way down to the paint that they used to actually, the whole thing, and how so many companies and so many countries were involved in producing one pencil. But the kids don't get taught that stuff anymore in school. They should be taught in high school. Because if you want to protect the free world, you need to empower people to run enterprises, to create their own business. Isn't it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, David. There's a paradox in our society. We have for-profit enterprises and we have not-for-profit enterprises, and I often ask people, what's the difference between a for-profit and a not-for-profit? And people give all kinds of different answers, but the essential difference is that in a for-profit, you optimize. Optimize by definition means to make best and most effective use of. In a not-for-profit, you maximize. And so the largest not-for-profit is the government at every level, because the purpose of governments, the purpose is to serve all of the constituents, all of the people who are a part of that society. And the challenge is that to serve everybody, you have to maximize. So healthcare is a good example. One of the challenges in our healthcare system is that there's two forces or dualities. So one is most of the costs associated with our healthcare will occur in the last 6 to 24 months of our lives. And yet an important aspect of healthcare is to make sure that people are healthy and live a full life. There's our lifespan and there's our health span. And we want our health span as much as possible to match our lifespan. So we have these dueling cost centers. The cost associated with mortality and the fact that when we become sick or ill, it can be very expensive. And the cost to maintain our health. And there's just not enough money to go around. The consequence of that is we have people who don't have a doctor in Canada. And we have people that at the end of their lives are waiting months to get treatment. It's a real challenge, but that when you maximize, there are always trade-offs. In business, the challenge is you optimize, and so that means that you focus on doing that which is profitable. So there's this kind of inherent tension between the for-profit sector and the not-for-profit sector in terms of government, not in terms of charity and all those other things that we have to deal with. And how we balance those two is interesting. But I want to come back to a point that you made about learning how to be an entrepreneur, how to build a business. One of the challenges, as you know, is that the mortality rate in business is very high. 50% or more of businesses fail in the first 5 to 10 years. Worldwide, only 3% of businesses survive beyond 40 years. The life expectancy of a business is much shorter than that of we as human beings. So it takes courage to start a business, because there is a significant likelihood that we will fail. And therein lies the challenge. And that's what I love about working with entrepreneurs, because there's an inherent courage in what each entrepreneur does in stepping up and saying, I'm going to build something that can be of value to society.
Norm, I always look at life now with my faith lenses and what the Bible says. And for me, there is nothing more that you can do in this life to earn a living than being an entrepreneur that aligns with the Bible, because it requires a lot of faith to run an enterprise.
Absolutely.
And you need to prophesy to yourself that whatever it is that you're going to do is going to prosper and is going to leave enough profits for you and your employees.
Yeah.
And that whatever it is that you're going to do is going to benefit your clients. So if you look at the two greatest commandments, love your God with all your soul, with all your heart, with all your being, and love your neighbor as yourself. If a business knows that they are doing this to love their neighbor, if they are doing this to benefit their clients, but also benefit their employees, if they have a true desire of make their lives better, it's inevitable for them to be prosperous, because there is spiritual laws that govern the world, whether you are Christian or not. They apply, and that's why you see so many business people very successful. And the more successful they are, the more encouraged they become, and the more they're willing to risk. And some of them fail miserably, and they pick themselves up, and then they make it even better the next time. But it requires a lot of faith, and it requires a lot of discipline and courage and saying humility. How about humility, Norm? When you think this is the way, and then you go and you fail miserably, and you're like, okay, that wasn't the way. Let's try this other way. Because you find somebody like Norm to tell you what's the real way.
That's beautifully stated. We often think that entrepreneurs are motivated by money. Money is the measure of the meaning that drives them, the impact they have on society and the people around them. And you're right. It has to be faith-based, because you're leaping into the abyss. You're leaping into the unknown, and that's where faith comes in. And one of the qualities that I've observed in working literally with thousands of entrepreneurs is that they are eternally optimistic, and a lot of that is based upon a deep-seated faith. A belief in a higher power and what they're doing, in the importance of what they're doing, in the meaning that they ascribe to it. It gives to them and it gives to others.
One of the things that I regret as an entrepreneur is not finding somebody like you at the beginning and even in the middle, Norm. Like it's
funny. That's kind of you, but I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and we were having breakfast, and so there was a group of people sitting at my table, and no one was talking. So I turned to the person next to me and said, tell me about you. What brings you here? And so she told me, and then we kind of went around the table. And everybody talked about, why they came to the conference and what they do. And then when it came back and they said, tell me about you. And so I basically started out by saying, helping entrepreneurs thrive is at the core of everything we do. And there was a gentleman there who has a very successful business. He was about 3 over from me, and he said, I wish I'd met you 18 years ago when I started my business. And I said to him, that's an interesting comment that we get quite often. What is intriguing, though, is most of the entrepreneurs with whom we work are already successful. They want to take their business to another level. And what they're encountering is headwinds. Or maybe they have tailwinds, but they don't know how to harness the power of those tailwinds to grow their business. And what they're looking for is perspective on their perspective. Mm-hmm. And that's what our role is. It's not, they already have a sense of what they need to do. It's helping them identify, clarify, and intensify what will be the contributing factors to moving this business forward, to making more money, having more quality time, making more of a difference, and building something that's sustainable.
And don't you?
But I want to come back to a comment that you made about humility, because that's a very a very important insight. I have a friend who is a professor at the Wharton School of Business, very successful woman. And she did a study that identified 4 characteristics of successful entrepreneurs. The first of which is integrity. Integrity comes from the same root as integration. It means completeness, wholeness, oneness. It's saying your actions are consistent with your beliefs. People can put their confidence in you because they know that you will be on time. You'll do what you say you're going to do. You'll finish what you start, and you'll acknowledge others. You'll appreciate the contribution of others. So the first is integrity. The second is humility. It is understanding our own humanity, our own humanness, that we are no more than any less than any other man or woman we meet. We're all human. Dedication, being committed to bringing that energy, and the fourth is passion. Passionate about making a difference. Of the 4, the 2 that are most important are integrity and passion. And what we find is that the successful entrepreneurs with whom we work embody those qualities.
That's beautiful. And you're right. You can be successful in business without a moral compass for a while until you're found out, and then the lesson is horrible.
Yeah, it's very hard if you don't have a moral compass. You're pretty much going to founder.
And it doesn't matter how big the business gets. Remember Enron?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Multi-billion-dollar corporation cooking the books, and they thought they could get away with that until they got found out. No moral values.
I know.
Right?
And we see that all the time. Well, it's sad, actually.
It is sad. But on the other hand, it's also, like I've seen it personally, how the Lord will always provide another opportunity. If you repent and you come back to the truth and you dust yourself up and say, I'm sorry, and figure out the right way. I mean, the world makes mistakes in life, and sometimes those mistakes are very hard to overcome. Yeah. But if you're a man of faith and you say, Lord, I'm sorry, help me do this a better way, the Lord will always show you the way.
Yeah. That's so true. Yeah.
Right.
And Christ's life's a good example of that. And sometimes it doesn't end the way you want. What is important is that moral compass. It's staying true to what you believe. It's interesting in preparation for our conversation, David. I went to the dictionary to remind myself of faith, and actually. So we take a look at it for a second because I should remember it, but not always. So the definition of faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. It's a strong belief in God or in the doctrine of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. So the paradox of faith is that we don't necessarily have it as evident. It is a belief. It's a way of looking at the world, and in a way, it's not about testing it. It's believing it.
In the Bible, in Hebrews 11:1, it says the definition of faith, according to the scripture, says, faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen.
Yeah,
the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. Notice that even the Bible says faith. If you look at the faith according to the scriptures, it's completely neutral, because faith is one of those spiritual laws that work regardless you're a Christ believer or not. Because I know many people that have applied faith to their businesses and they're successful, and I still knocking on the door so that they can open the door for Jesus in their life.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the thing that happens though, or what happened to me when I was a successful entrepreneur without faith, because I lost my faith for a while there, is that yes, you apply faith in your business, you apply the lessons for generating a successful enterprise exactly the way you are teaching it, and you apply those spiritual laws even without knowing that they are there, and you will get beautiful results. However, you will not be fulfilled. And that's exactly what happened to me. It didn't matter how much I grew. It didn't matter how much more money I did, or even the charities that I contributed to. My heart was still like empty. I remember giving was one of the things that started to give me some sense of meaning. So when I was giving unconditionally, my heart was feeling better, but it only lasted for a little bit, and then down to depression. And I said, okay, so now I gotta make another $1 million then to make myself feel better. So, but it's because Jesus wasn't there. He was the part of the equation that didn't match. Once the Lord was in my heart, once I came back to my faith, once I said, Lord, I'm doing this for you and for you only. Help me love the souls the way you love them. Then my fulfillment was sustained and is still sustained, and I'm living the best time of my life now, because business keeps growing. I keep on risking, but I don't necessarily need the business to be successful for me to be fulfilled in my heart.
Success and fulfillment. You're right. You can be successful and not fulfilled. You can be fulfilled and not successful. And to be successful and fulfilled is a real blessing. And it comes from doing that which gives us meaning and is rooted in a strong faith-based belief system. And I should have gone to the Bible to get the quote. It's much better than the dictionary.
I think it's more direct, right? Right?
Yeah.
Another thing that the Lord reminded me this morning in my devotional with my wife, listen to this. This is beautiful. And it goes back to fulfillment. And I'm going to tell the scripture first, and then I'm going to give you an example. It's in Ecclesiastes 9, verse 7 and 8. It says, now go eat your food with gladness and drink your wine with joyfulness and a joyful heart. For God has already approved what you do. Always be clothed in white, and always anoint your head with oil.
Yeah.
Isn't that significant? What this Bible verse is telling us is that we enjoy life finally when our works are approved by the Lord and Jesus lives in our heart. Before that, you have little sparks of enjoyment, but like I said before, you feel this joy, this peace, and then it goes away and you're empty again. And what do I do next? And that's how entrepreneurship becomes an addiction. I became a workaholic and addicted to my business.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that in your clients?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's an interesting question, David, because I think when work gives us meaning, we're drawn to it. Addictive behavior is avoidant behavior. We're avoiding something. We're avoiding life in many instances. Alcoholism, drug abuse, work. So I think what's important is to look at the totality of our lives and what gives us meaning. We talk about, we're all trying to keep 5 balls in the air, self and health, and that's our well-being, of which our spiritual well-being is at the core. Family, relationships outside of family, work, and community. 4 of those are crystal, and 1 of them's a rubber ball. Work is a rubber ball. You drop it, it'll bounce back. One of the characteristics of successful people is that they have overcome adversity. But our health and self-being, our families, our relationships, our community, they're crystal. Drop them and they can break. And so it's important to embrace all of those and look at the interrelationship of them. If one of those is out of balance, then it affects every other area of our lives. But I want to come back to something that you said that is very powerful. One of my favorite books is by a Basilican monk, David Steindl-Rast, and I think it's either Gratefulness is the Heart of Prayer or Gratitude is the Heart of Prayer. I can never remember which one, but the thesis of the book is that we can only be truly spiritually connected to the extent we have gratitude in our heart. It all starts with being grateful for what we are given. Sometimes being grateful for the headwinds or the adversities we face that strengthen us over time to the extent that we learn from them. So gratitude is at the core of everything. So I have a ritual that I go through because it's very easy in this world in which we live, in which there's uncertainty politically, economically, socially, culturally, technologically. The more complex and highly evolved a system, the more inherently unstable. And we have complex and highly evolved political systems, economic systems, socio-cultural systems, and technological systems. And so there's a lot of instability in the world. And all you have to do is turn on the news or turn on television and watch, and all you get is a stream of negativity about all the things that are going on in the world. So
that's why I don't watch cable anymore.
Yeah, so we can get caught up in that. So one of the rituals that I have is that before I go to sleep at night, I ask myself, what went well today? And so I will ask, and then I'll ask, what else? So I'll ask myself 3 times, what went well? What do I have to be grateful for? And then I'll say, what did I learn today that if I incorporate it, it will make me a better person or make for a better life? Because there's always things to be learned. And what that ritual does for me, because it's a form of prayer or spiritual connection, is throughout the course of the day, I think about those things for which I am grateful, having this conversation with you. And so, at the end of the day, I can think of 5, 10, 20 things to be grateful for. And my wife finds it annoying sometimes how easy it is for me to go to sleep. Because it takes me about 2 minutes to do that ritual, and then boom, I'm gone. But I think it's also that harmony in life, harmonizing, being in rhythm with the way our life is so much based on gratitude and on looking at what is a blessing in our lives. And in our case, living in Canada, living in North America, we're pretty blessed.
We are, Norman, and you touched one of the greatest spiritual laws that I know, that the Lord showed me in His scriptures. Gratitude to the Lord. But I have experienced gratitude even in the hard times. You touched on that. You said even when you have the opposite winds against you. And it's interesting because when you're in the middle of the storm, Norm, of course you don't want to be there. It hurts and you don't know what's going to happen. And it's very easy to get filled with anxiety and frustration. And if it lasts long enough, you could get into depression. But if you start being thankful for the opportunity of growth, if you're still being thankful for the unknown, knowing that the Lord is the one who holds your hand, and you say, Lord, thank you. Help me learn this lesson. Because a lot of the times the storms are created by yourself. In my personal experience, 90% of the storms I made myself. But that 10% of the storms, they come by themselves.
Yeah.
And you didn't ask them, but still happening.
Yeah.
The Lord gave me this beautiful gift a couple of weeks ago too. One of the smallest psalms in the Bible, if not the smallest, is Psalm 100. And I would love to read it to you. It's only 5 verses.
That'd be wonderful.
It says, it's all about gratitude.
Yeah.
It says, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs, knowing that the Lord is God. He is the one who made us, and we are his heirs. We are his people, the sheep of his pastures. This is the most important part. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise him, for the Lord is good and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues throughout all generations.
It's wonderful.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful. Yeah.
And
that is
especially in the hard times.
Yeah.
I remember back in 2019, everything happened in the same month, 1 week after another, blow after blow after blow. One of my largest clients was sold to a bigger company, and the CIO called me and he said, David, it's very likely the contract is ending. Thank God I had already restructured the company so that he wasn't my biggest point of failure, but still that meant massive layoffs.
Yeah.
The next week, I was just parked waiting for the traffic light, and a 16-wheeler smashed me behind and just completely broke the back of my truck. And then the next week, my kid got in serious trouble. And it was like boom, 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 to the point that I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I told my wife, let's take 4 days off and look for the Lord. So we took 4 days off. We went to a beautiful beach from Thursday to Sunday. And I remember the night that we landed there on Thursday, it was beautiful. You couldn't see a single cloud, filled with stars in this remote location. And then we just started praying, and we kneeled down and we said, Lord, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We started crying. We were filled with joy, thanking him for all these troubles that we didn't know how we were going to come out of it. And then all that pain, all that fear, all that uncertainty just fell away. The problems didn't leave. We came back and the problems were still there, but our thankfulness changed our heart, and we started to have more faith. And sure enough, my client didn't leave at the end. They actually gave us more business. The new client gave us more business.
Yeah.
My son got out of trouble really fast, and my car was repaired by insurance. I didn't have to pay a penny.
Yeah.
But the temptation was there to get really depressed.
Yeah.
Right? What am I going to do with all these people? How am I going to tell them that I need them to lay them off until I find another big client? Right?
Yeah.
And it didn't happen.
Yeah. What sustained you, though, was faith.
It's faith and the gratitude piece, because the Lord will test us, right? He will test us. And when you are in this huge tribulation, because for you, it's like a kid, right? If you take a piece of candy from a kid, it's as bad as taking a job from an employee. On their context, on your level of maturity in your heart, it's the same thing. So I cannot tell you that your problem is bigger than my problem, because it depends on your your spiritual maturity, how you're going to face that problem.
Yeah.
Isn't it? But if you practice gratitude to the Lord, oh boy, everything changes.
Yeah. It's also amazing what it can do, not only emotionally or intellectually, but also physically. When I was in my late 30s or early 40s, I had a mentor. I grew up in a Protestant family, and I had a very good friend who was a devout Roman Catholic, and we we were part of a study group together, and I started going to. My office was in downtown Toronto, but I would go in early and go to a Roman Catholic church in the morning, because they would basically be sharing the liturgy in the morning, and I would just sit there. It was all done in Latin, but it was a wonderful space in which to be. But then my friend introduced me to the exercises in Ignatius that Saint Ignatius had created, this meditation, prayer, and Bible study, and I did that for about an 18-month period. I've always exercised or worked out, but instead of working out in the morning, I would get up at 5:30 and go through a series of meditations, readings, and prayer. And I went for a medical about a year into it, and my doctor said to me, "What are you doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, your heart rate is 40. You've got the heart rate of an Olympic athlete." And he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm praying and meditating." And I think he thought I was
exercising or working
a
out.
little bit out there. But, in a way, it seems counterintuitive. You give up exercise to focus on what's important and end up healthier. It was quite remarkable.
Peace in the Lord. One of the reasons why I got lost, my head was so convoluted with business and challenges and this and that, I fell into transcendental meditation, which is, Hindu/Buddhist. And it helped me a lot.
Yeah.
But the problem is that I got so deep into it that I started seeing angelic beings and hallucinations. And that's what got me to hell. When the Lord rescued me, it wasn't that far away. 2 years ago, I got rescued from that.
Yeah.
He showed me the real meditation in the Word, the real meditation and prayer. So I got the benefits from what I used to have, plus the enlightenment of Jesus Christ at the same time.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it's life-changing. It's life-changing because, well, you just said it, right? Your heart rate, changed dramatically, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing more beautiful than being in your secret place with the Lord and say, "Lord, here I am.
Yeah.
What can I do for you, Lord?" Not going to say, "Lord, do this for me." No, go and say, "Lord, how's your heart? How can I serve today?" And then, of course, tell them what you need. But have a conversation. Not just don't use the Lord or your prayers like a vending machine where you punch numbers and then put your credit card and you get what you want. Right?
That's a good analogy, David.
It's it's such a pleasure being with you. I can feel your peace, Norm. We're probably hundreds of miles away from each other, and I can sense that peace that transcends all understanding. And I want to really talk about those books behind. Are those your books, Norm, or are the books that you use on your business?
I have written or co-authored 7 books. So one of them there, the 8 best practices of high-performing salespeople, the entrepreneurial journey, the business builder. But the book right behind me, Strategy to Action, was written by our head of program and product development, Dr. Keita Deming. And Keita is a wonderful man. He is responsible for our program development and delivery and the various products we're developing. And this is his first book. It's a terrific book. And then the one in between, we also have a publishing division. So we help our clients publish books that are relevant and have a meaningful message. So yeah, in fact, I'm rewriting this 8 Best Practices book now, because I wrote it back in 1997, and it's a little bit out of date, although it sold hundreds of thousands of copies. It's been translated into 18 languages. So I've been very blessed in that way, David.
That's beautiful, Norm. So it leads me to my next point. We're running out of time, and I know you're a busy executive.
Yes, yeah.
I would love to have you back and talk a bit more about the business strategies for my audience, especially what's in those books.
Yes.
You know, like I said, if you follow the person that has done and achieved what you want to achieve, it's most likely that you're going to get it. And you're going to avoid the problems that that person will have to go through to get to where he is.
Yeah.
That's the power of a book, isn't it?
It is, yeah. The wise person learns from their own experience. The very wise person learns from the experience of others. And there's so much that we can learn from books and from people. Mentoring, coaching is such an important aspect of development. And I've been blessed in having wonderful teachers and mentors in every facet of my life, not the least of which is spiritually. So it's been wonderful to be with you, David.
Thank you so much, Norm. You know, to your point, I did an interview last week, and this very successful entrepreneur from Toronto, and he said it was one of my mentors in university that led me to Christ and led me into business.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
No, it is. Yeah. It's such it. I've had a similar experience, and yeah, it is really a blessing.
Wonderful, Norm. Thank you so much for your time. Please, if you don't mind, I'll get you in a second interview for episode number 2 of this wonderful conversation. That's what happens when I get brilliant minds. We just run out of time, you know. Norm, if people would like to follow you, or they would like to hire your company to do some consulting, where can they find you?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn. They can also find me. It's Norm. My email address is Norm, Norm, at Covenant, COVENANT group.com, Covenant Group. Because when I started the business, David, I wanted the relationships to be covenant relationships, not a contract has its roots in law, and is designed to protect the interest. A covenant has its roots in a spiritual place and is designed to promote the interests of everyone involved. So I really view our work as a covenant. So it's a Covenant Group, Norm at covenantgroup.com. Our website is covenantgroup.com. There's white papers, there's all kinds of materials. I also have a YouTube channel. So my wife accuses me of shameless self-promotion, and I consider that a compliment.
Wonderful. You're a good salesman for sure. By the way, you cannot be a successful entrepreneur without being a good salesman or being associated with one.
Exactly.
Norm, God bless you. May the Lord shine his face upon you and give you peace. And I'll see you the next time.
Thank you, David. It was a great joy to be with you. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching another episode of Anchoring Hope, where we're shining the light in these last days and hoping for the best, because the best is in the Bible. Please share this episode, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also check other social media for more content. And as always, remember, Jesus Christ loves you, and I love you too.